press secretary. Spicer submitting his resignation just yesterday, and just minutes after Anthony Scaramucci, a former Trump campaign advisor and fundraiser, accepted the job of communications director. Sources familiar with the changes say Spicer adamantly opposed Scaramucci's hiring and stepped down despite the president's request he stay on.
The president obviously wanted to add to the team more than anything. I just think it was in the best interest of our communications department, of our press organization, to not have too many cooks in the kitchen.
For his part, the president tweeted this: "Sean Spicer is a wonderful person who took tremendous abuse from the fake news media, but his future is bright." Now, as for Scaramucci, he used his first press appearance before the press corps at the White House to emphasize his love and loyalty for the president.
The president's a winner, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a lot of winning. I love the mission that the president has. I love the president. I obviously love the country. He's genuinely a wonderful human being. I love the president, and I'm very, very loyal to the president. I love these guys. I respect these guys. I love the president. The president's phenomenal with the press. The president himself is always going to be the president. I think he's got some of the best political instincts in the world, and perhaps in history. He's done a phenomenal job for the American people. He's the most competitive person I've ever met. Okay, I've seen this guy throw a dead spiral through a tire. I've seen him at Madison Square Garden with a top coat on. He's standing in the key and he's hitting foul shots and swishing them. Okay, he sinks 3-foot putts.
Does it seem like he has a man crush there? It kind of seems like he loves the president. Joining me now, White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Sarah Westwood, and Ellis Hennigan, political analyst and writer of the Trump's America column for Metro Papers. So, Ellis, I'll start with you. Scaramucci, he doesn't have the experience, but he did look pretty comfortable up there at the podium. He also is a showman, just like the president, of course. He speaks with those big hand gestures. He even blew the president and the press corps a kiss at the end of the briefing.
He clearly learned rule number one, which is love Donald Trump.
How big of a deal is this, though, with a White House that's had a messaging problem up until now?
But not since Kim Jong-il have we had someone who loved his leader in the same way. I expected him to say that Donald Trump had done 11 holes in one the last time he played golf. I don't know who this convinces except for Donald, but it is wrong to think of Mouche as the new communications director in the White House, because Donald Trump will always be the communications director in the White House.
And we heard Mouche, as he likes to be called affectionately. I mean, that is Scaramucci's nickname, and he embraces that. He has even said in this first press conference, let the president be the president, don't try to hold him back.
Right, and that is probably a winning strategy for keeping one's job in the White House. Let Donald be Donald. Not that you could stop him even if you tried, but it's a fool's errand to attempt it.
But Sarah, the New York Times editorial board was very tough on Spicer when we talk about the White House and its messaging. After Spicer's resignation, they called him a for Pinocchio press secretary. And they wrote this: from the beginning, when an apprehensive America wondered what was ahead, you stood behind the lectern at the White House and lied. Even though lots of people do it now, you were a trailblazer and nobody can take that away from you. Let's not say goodbye. Let's just say you have no further comment. Ouch. I mean, we saw how contentious the relationship was between Spicer and the press corps, but will Scaramucci change that?
Well, that's the kind of sentiment we heard from Scaramucci yesterday, that he wanted some sort of détente with the media, that he actually said the words de-escalate, that's the kind of thing he wanted. At the same time, there's a fear that because Scaramucci is cut from the same cloth as President Trump, that he could amplify Trump's worst impulses when it comes to a chaotic messaging strategy, when it comes to straying off topic, drawing attention back to his negatives simply because he can't let a false charge or an unfair charge lie. Those are the kinds of things that I think Sean Spicer and some of the more traditional press aides who come from a more traditional political background have tried to do to stop that kind of behavior, to try to add some more traditional, conventional structure to the messaging strategy, and that hasn't always worked. And in fact, it's sometimes backfired when they've tried to say something that then the president directly contradicts. We might see less of that with Anthony Scaramucci because he is so similar to the president, because they have similar backgrounds. Right.
So speaking of Scaramucci and his background, he hasn't always been so loyal to the president. In fact, he said this in the past prior to being appointed as the new comm director.
He's a hack
you're
politician.
in
He's
trouble
probably
now.
going to make Elizabeth Warren his vice presidential nominee. You got to cut it out now and stop all this crazy rhetoric spinning everybody's
How's
heads
that
around.
resonating?
You're an
Why is
inherited
he
money
resonating?
dude from Queens County. Bring it, Donald.
You're close
Bring
to
it.
Wall.
He's had some pretty critical tweets as well, and then today Scaramucci comes out and he tweets this: full transparency, I'm deleting old tweets, past views evolved and shouldn't be a distraction. I serve at the President of the United States agenda, and that's all that matters. I mean, speaking of the President's agenda, Ellis, I mean, some of these tweets are in support of Hillary Clinton, saying the wall won't work, bashing the President's plan to build a wall at the border. We know how much loyalty is important to the President here. Could these past tweets come back and haunt Scaramucci?
Well, you were right that loyalty in the Trump administration is like Fifth Avenue. It's a one-way street. But you know what, Anna? You cannot delete a tweet anymore. This is not Nixon in the tapes, right? Any tweet that you try to delete is actually in 50 places that all of us can get it. So it's probably the right symbolic gesture, but ain't nothing going to disappear ever.
Sarah, Scaramucci revealed that he won't be reporting to the chief of staff like most communications directors do. Rather, he's going to report directly to the president. Do you think this will create more staff divisions or actually smooth over some of the issues?
Well, clearly there was a divide within the West Wing about the president's decision to bring Scaramucci on board. Sean Spicer wasn't the only one who was vehemently opposed to this move. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus was opposed. Steve Bannon, the chief strategist, also did not want Scaramucci to come on board. And in conversations with people familiar with the process, what we were hearing was that the president wanted Sean Spicer basically to continue fulfilling the duties that would traditionally fall to a communications director, but have Anthony Scaramucci take on more of a public-facing role because the president really enjoyed the way Scaramucci has been defending him on television lately. Now, Sean Spicer obviously was opposed to that, but clearly now you're going to have another competing power source within the White House when you already have so many. You have Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Reince Priebus, Steve Bannon, Dina Powell, Gary Cohn, all, some of them with their own agendas, some of them working together, but clearly this is just one more layer of someone else, another big personality with a direct pipeline to the president. I'm sure we'll see more of this palace intrigue in the weeks ahead.
And CNN is reporting that it was Ivanka and Jared Kushner who wanted Scaramucci to be appointed this new position, while, like you said, Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer, Steve Bannon, they were on the other side, and look who went out there. Alice Hennigan and Sarah Westwood, thank you both for joining us. And just a